Welcome to another episode of Heroes Wanted. I am your host, Joe Prim. This podcast is about abandoning average, about walking away and separating yourself from the average life, the average marriage, the average role as a father and as a leader, and uncovering the hero within, moving beyond average. So in this episode is entitled Fighting Chaos, Heroes Wanted. Fighting Chaos. So, last week I did an episode where we talked a little bit about chaos, and I posted my show notes up on Instagram. And my good friend, Mark Bohr, who has been a guest on the podcast many times in the past, mostly talking about things related to personal security and such. You can find him at the Bear Tuss on Instagram, at TheBarritus on Instagram. You can find him there. Give him a follow. But he followed up my post from the show notes of the podcast with this. I also think facing chaos is intimidating because it's unknown. Without form, we're accustomed to. But it's from chaos that order is formed. And if you look at the myths and legends of old, creating order out of chaos is often a violent and bloody one, metaphorically speaking. And again, that was my friend Mark Bohr. So I wanted to get into chaos a little bit. This response to my show notes and to my idea of what I talked about in the podcast last week got me to thinking even more, because the reality is chaos is life, and life is chaos. It always has been, and it always will be. That's life. So, we as humans have always endeavored to find ways to manage the chaos, or to bring order to the chaos, to overcome this chaos. And we try, and often we fail. But this is the Merriam-Webster definition of chaos: a state of utter confusion, or B, a confused mass or mixture. So I don't know that I can come up with a better term for what's describing our world today. But unlike many people that podcast or are on social media or are sitting at your dinner table maybe, or you're having a coffee with regularly, I don't believe that what we're experiencing today is really out of the ordinary. Like I said before, chaos is life, life is chaos. I don't really believe that these are extraordinary times or anything crazy or different going on. But I believe that maybe the difference between now and 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago, is that we have more information. Maybe too much information. But the radical difference right now of what we're seeing, especially in our country, the United States, or in the West as a whole, is that we have lost faith in the important institutions. The institutions that are supposed to be stable, consistent, and reliable, we've lost faith in them. Whether it be our education systems, our government, our military, our business leaders, we've lost faith in them. Merriam-Webster's definition for order is to arrange, to put in order, arrange. It says, as men, we have been defining our purpose. Let me erase this here. As men, we've been defining our purpose, really, by serving our communities, our families, our countries, by bringing order. But our attempts to bring order are often epic. Either epic in a good way or epic in a disaster. Everything from time to calendars, hieroglyphics, are all a search for order. Time, calendars, stories, history, they are all an attempt to find order. But sometimes the order is good. Right? We can think of some examples of good attempts at bringing order, maybe water filtration, right, has helped a lot of people around the world. Maybe antibiotics. There are some things that we have used to bring order to this chaos, to death, to difficulty, to pain, to suffering, that are great. They're good. We could add probably capitalism, because under capitalism in this world, there's never been a faster growth of wealth and deterioration of poverty than there has in history, as there has been under capitalism. But at times, we epically fail in our attempts to bring order. Like the death of millions, like communism. Right? Through dictatorships. Right? We could make up an extensive list of failures. I suppose we have something like nuclear power, which could be a good or a bad. So there's some neutral things, right? But there's always with man this fight to conquer things and to bring forward order out of the chaos around us. But this need for order drives each of us as individuals as well in our personal lives, with our families and in our communities. It's this drive for order that's often used to manipulate us as well. And I talked about that on an episode that I released on February 20th. It was called Following the Script. If you want, give that a listen. But the script we follow is not inherently bad, but it's used to bring order to our families, to our culture, and to our communities. So the script we follow brings order in our families, culture, communities, churches. What else? We could say in our places of work, the clubs we belong to. There's all a script, like I talked about in that episode, that we end up following, and it helps bring order to these things here, which is good. But we need to be cautious, right? Because out of order can come bad as well, like we said. So I want to key in on two important ways for fighting the chaos. Because whether we like it or not, it's here. We have to find a personal way to deal with the chaos. And complaining and whining isn't going to be one of my two. So number one way I got here for fighting chaos is to find the beauty. Find the beauty. Okay, let's work on my spelling here a little bit. Find the beauty. And for those following along on the regular podcast, I am recording this on video as well, so I'm writing up some notes as we go here, so bear with me and my sloppy writing. So, I wrote about this in my book, Open, 6 Life-Changing Principles, and in the section or the chapter titled, Open Your Eyes. And it's about finding the beauty within the chaos. And in my book, I write about a very personal story about some ministry work that I did when I was living down in Guatemala, in the dump there in Guatemala City. And of all places that I've traveled around the world, and different people I've met, and different cool places that I've gotten to see, this was the absolute worst. I really can't compare it to any other place that I've been. The hopelessness really hung in the air with the stench of filth and human excrement and the trash. This was the total pits of the world. The only thing that I could have possibly made this any worse would have been if there was a war going on. So as a teenager, or in my early 20s at that time, trying to make sense of this completely foreign world, but something that was beyond anything that I could have seen in my mind's eye. Trying to understand where I was, trying to understand what I was doing there, trying to understand what kind of difference that I could make in the midst of this hell was a life-changing experience for me. So I'm in the midst of this challenge. I don't know if you can tell by listening to this podcast, but I'm kind of a thinker. I have a real hard time just kind of surface leveling things or just kind of rolling through things. I have to think about things. I have to understand them. I have to get just a little bit deeper, not always, but I like to get just a little bit deeper to understand what I'm doing, why I'm there, what kind of difference, what kind of impact that I could make in that situation. And as I looked around me and I searched for something to grab a hold of, something familiar, something that I could understand, something that I could relate to, what I finally ended up being able to grab a hold of, what I call the beauty in the chaos, was the children that we had gone there to hang out with and minister to. We had gone there to tell them stories and to blow up balloons and to play games and to do puppet shows and do all of this things that kids love to do. And I was able to manage and I was able to cope with this dire, ugly, filthy, smelly conditions and engage with these malnourished, barefooted children that seemed like they should be hopeless and destitute, but yet were running around happy and smiling. I grabbed a hold of that, and that helped me to deal with that situation. And it's been something that I have used many, many times since then. And really, it's to find the beauty. And sometimes in the midst of the chaos, that beauty will be your wife, or be your family, or for some people, in some moments, it'll be a song, or a poem, or a quote, or a Bible verse, or something. You've got to find your why. Once you find that why, or a picture of that why that you can envision, or a song or a poem that can be in your mind that reminds you of that why, or that family member that's there with you, or a memory. Once you find that why, to continue through, and you have something solid to grab onto, solid to hold, you can go through anything. But you must find the beauty. You must find your why. And it's going to be different for you than it is for me. It's going to be different for you in any given situation that you might be in. It's funny how sometimes a song verse will stick with you, and it'll just be there in the back of your mind. Or a quote, like I talked about, talk is cheap. I brought up in the last podcast, of just one of those quotes that just always sits there. Always there. You're always thinking about it. Maybe it's a poem or a Bible verse. Or a quote that encourages you to keep moving forward in the midst of that chaos. But whatever it is, when you're in that chaos, when you begin to feel stressed, when you begin to feel worried and frustrated and uncertain in yourself, find the beauty. And number 2, is tradition. We're going to say routine and tradition. We don't now, and we never will, have total control over the chaos. But in order to maintain a healthy respect for this fact, we as humans have devised ways to live in the middle of the chaos. One of them is routine, and we use routine to give order to our lives and family. And this is close family that lives within your home. And how would that be? That would be maybe a dinner time and no phone, or maybe a set wake up time, maybe chores, devotions at night, story time, prayer before bed. Things like this help to bring order to the chaos. I recorded a podcast on my routine. You can go back and find that episode if you'd like. But the opposite of routine is sedation and sabotage. And sedation and sabotage are very similar to routine and tradition, but they're the negative form. See, just as I mentioned in the earlier endeavor, to bring order to an can be extremely destructive to ourselves and those in our vicinity. Things like micromanaging might seem to bring order, but they don't. Aggressiveness, yelling, and bullying may bring a sense of control, but ultimately birth even more chaos, and you sabotage your own good intentions. If you are not intentional about how you bring order to your routine, you will take the path of sedation. You will sedate yourself with alcohol, porn, video games, sports, politics. No, I misspelled that, but we'll keep going. Food, entertainment, living vicariously through your children. These are all ways that we begin to sedate ourselves. And you will find that this is hiding from the chaos rather than confronting the chaos head on. For far too many of our fellow men, this path right here, this path of sedation and then sabotage, lead to suicide. And fathers and husbands, unfortunately, are finding a permanent solution to that temporary chaos that seems to have taken control over the situation. We must build a routine that challenges ourselves on a daily basis and keeps us alert to the dangers of sedation, sabotage, and ultimately can lead to suicide. So I recorded a podcast a while back about my daily routine, and I recently recorded a training video on how I started doing my own journaling system. But these things are part of my routine that give me just some control over the chaos in my life. And tradition. Men have, since the beginning of time, made tradition. From the solstices to harvest to celebration of the season. Once again, these traditions can become destructive, like the sacrificing of babies in a lot of cultures. But the power of these traditions can be felt in different things, like we talk about the Christmas spirit and how people are more friendly, or smiling faces, or things like that of so many people around the Christmas time, because these traditions have, for many, great memories and have a very intense and immediate effect on us as human beings. The power of, once again, we build these traditions for our family with intent. Do the traditions that you have right now within your family, do they build unity? Do they bring joy? Do they bring anticipation? Just like a routine, I believe that we must be very intentional about the traditions that we adopt and the traditions that we celebrate as families. The more distinct that we can make our family and the way that we celebrate, or the things that we celebrate, the more distinct that we can make ourselves, the stronger I think that you can become. Don't need to be like everybody else. Those differences bring strength and bring character. So my challenge to you is to, for this next week, is to look at your daily routine. Look at your daily routine. Is your daily routine a routine? Or is it actually sedation? Are you hiding? Are you hiding from the chaos? Or are you taking it on? Look at your daily routine. Look at the routine of your family. Which is it? Are we hiding? or are we taking on the challenge? If you're spending a lot more time sedating than you are hitting the challenge head on, going after the chaos head on, then be intentional. Take some time and build out a realistic routine for you. I'm not saying you need to get up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or make drastic changes this week in your life. Write up what you believe would be the routine that would help you to take on the chaos that's around you. Write those things down and begin week by week to incorporate those things into your life. Maybe you get up a half hour earlier. Maybe you start doing some journaling or doing some planning the night before of what you have to do that next day. Simple steps to help you take on the challenge. Getting up early enough, say some prayer before work. Say a prayer before you go to bed. Spend some time reading the Bible. Spend some time calling some people to encourage them. Find ways to serve other people. All of these things serve as small ways of challenging the chaos. Write down a list of 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 things that would be your dream of what you could incorporate into your day as a routine. Prioritize them and start next week by adding one new thing to your routine. Remember, routine isn't just about you. One thing that I do every day that incorporates the rest of my family as well is I write a note each day. One to my son, one to my daughter, and one to my wife. Every day. Just a quick note of encouragement, a quick affirmation. And this isn't a routine that only affects me, but a routine that affects them as well. Build out, be intentional about finding that routine that works and that adds to your life. And then the same with tradition. Bonus points if you hold a family meeting this week and talk about the family traditions that you have, which ones are important, which ones aren't, and maybe make up some new ones. What's something that you want to do once a week together? Is it a game night, or a movie night, or a pizza night, or going for a family walk, or going for a family bike ride, or going fishing? What's a monthly dream that you could do that would be a tradition? Something that you do each and every month. Maybe it's go to see Grandma and Grandpa once a month. Maybe it's go to see a movie. Maybe it's go out for dinner. I don't care what it is. Intentionally build traditions into you and your family. And finally, when you're in the chaos, when you're in the mix, when things are looking ugly, when you know the pressure is on, look for that beauty. Find the why. Find something to grab a hold of and make it yours. So, if you are looking for help for this, if maybe this sounds great to you, routine and tradition and the talks about sedation, and maybe you're just overcome with sedating yourself. Maybe you just are at a point where you realize that hiding from everything is just not going to get you anywhere. And you crave to have that routine, and you crave having those traditions, and you want to find that beauty in the midst of the chaos in your life. Maybe you need some help. And if you do, that is what Heroes Wanted coaching program is all about meeting you where you're at. It's for dads that are stuck, that are feeling lost and frustrated and like they don't have a purpose. They're in a rut, You're going through the daily motions day after day, but you can't seem to get anywhere. But if I could guarantee to get you out of this rut and give you clarity and direction in your life, help you feel confident in yourself and in the decisions that you're making, and help you to find purpose, would you take me up on that offer? Here's how it works. You work with me one-on-one. We'll meet once a week on Zoom for 45 minutes for 12 weeks. I'll provide you with a personalized plan to get you unstuck and a very clear direction on where you're going. We'll have weekly video lessons so that you can learn what you need to do and assignments to put into practice what you've learned. And challenges to get you outside of your comfort zone where growth occurs and confidence is born. And I'll even provide for you the required books, including, and I got it right here, my favorite book on leadership. Got it right here. If you are listening to the podcast, you're missing out on seeing my favorite leadership book, which is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, a sweet leather-bound journal, a package of field notes for the journal system, a package of sticky notes for getting into the routine of writing notes each day to your loved ones. And those things, as part of the program, as part of Heroes Wanted, will be delivered right to your door. If you're in the United States, if you're outside of the United States, we'll get creative. We'll figure something out and make sure that you get what you need to move forward in this program. Now, I'll be honest with you. There will be effort and sacrifice involved because everything of value must have a price. But I will be with you every step of the way with 24/7 support via text so that I can help keep you on task. You will need to show up on time and prepared for your one-on-one calls, complete lessons, challenges, and assignments. But don't worry. Where you see uncertainty at this moment, I see your potential. I've been there and have experienced this journey myself firsthand. What happens if you show up on time every week for the one-on-one calls, complete your lessons, challenges, and assignments for the 12-week duration of the program, and you don't have clarity and direction in your life, you don't feel confident in yourself and your decisions, and you still haven't found a purpose? Then I'll keep coaching you for free until you do. There's absolutely no risk to you of not leveling up. This program isn't about change. It's not about evolution. It's about a new you. It's about uncovering the hero that is within you but has been buried under years of lies, fear, and expectations of others. Sure, you can continue doing nothing, but you know exactly where that leads. You're there. You can try and do it yourself, reading countless books, watching a bunch of YouTube videos. Be careful, those cat videos are distracting. And listening to hours of podcasts, hoping to find something that clicks. But if you're serious about finally taking control of your life, dropping the excuses and becoming the husband, father, and leader that you want to be, let's schedule a strategy call where we can design a plan to get you out of that rut and headed where you want to go. If any of that sounds interesting to you and you want to get on a strategy call, the strategy call is not a disguised sales call. The strategy call is a true strategy call to really evaluate where you are at today and where you want to go and strategize some steps to get you from point A there to point B. Feel like you're climbing up that mountain right here, you're stuck, need to get a way to get over here onto this mountain. That's what that call is about. How are we going to get you from there to there? And if after that call you want to continue, we can discuss continuing our coaching. But that's what that strategy call is about. If that sounds interesting to you, you can go to heroes.us or heroeswanted.us heroes.coaching, heroeswanted.us/coaching, or you can shoot me an email at jprim@heroeswanted.us. Either way, if you go to heroeswanted.us/coaching, you can go directly to a schedule and schedule a time that works out good for you. If you go to Heroes Wanted, we can even have a little chat beforehand and decide what you're looking for. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts on that, go to jprim@heroeswanted.us. Guys, as always, hold fast and God bless. If this podcast has been of any value to you, or this video has been of any value to you, I ask you to subscribe, to share, and to comment below. Thanks, guys. God bless. Hold fast, and God bless.